What's going on, guys? Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. Hope everybody's doing fantastic out there. Your Miami Heat, of course, coming off a three-game losing streak right now. They'll have practice on Tuesday, recording this on a Monday afternoon, so they'll be back at it tomorrow. Interesting reports today out of the two local beat reporters for your Miami Heat, Ira Winderman, Anthony Chang. Boots on the ground, whether it be home or road, they're always out there. And it was interesting. Ira Winderman and Anthony both having trade articles today about Kyle Lowry. And Ira's was worded as such to start the whole ordeal. This is what he had to say. He said, the Miami Heat appear to be moving towards an end game with Kyle Lowry in wake of his shift to a reserve role in the past two games. Resolution with the veteran point guard is not only expected by February 8th NBA trading deadline, but potentially could come as early as this week. All right. And then Anthony's report was veteran point guard Kyle Lowry fell out of the Miami Heat starting lineup in recent days, and more change could be coming for Lowry and the Heat. The Heat continues to explore trades involving Lowry ahead of the trade deadline. According to multiple league sources, Lowry holds value in the market with his sizable expiring deal of $29.7 million. So, yeah, I think it is very interesting that both Ira and Anthony, who, again, do a fantastic job, love those guys, covering the team every single day, boots on the ground, have articles on Kyle Lowry's future with the team, and have it in the ether that change could be coming with Kyle and his future with the Miami Heat. And it obviously could be felt with what happened on Friday night with the idea that Kyle Lowry, I guess the report that Ira said had showed up late to that game. He apparently traveled separately from the team, and I'm guessing the shoot around. He certainly wasn't late for his typical pre-game shoot around, so this isn't like Kyle Lowry barely made the game. Kyle Lowry, for those who don't know, he warms up before every Heat player. He's the earliest to warm up. So, for example, if the Heat play a 7:30 game, Kyle Lowry's there very early. Kyle Lowry is usually on the court warming up 3 hours before anybody else. As a comparison, Bam and Duncan Robinson, they start warming up about 2 hours before tip-off, usually around 5:30, with Tyler Hero usually like around 6. Like, these guys all have about 15-minute chunks, all 15 to 20-minute chunks all laid out for him, depending on, you know, how much of a star player that guy is, which coach they're going to work out with. But Chris Quinn, Kyle Lowry, always out there 3 hours before tip. Kyle was out there for his normal time. He was out there and getting ready at his normal time, but apparently they had some either meeting or shoot around that he was late for, and that was the domino effect of him missing and being pulled out of the starting lineup. The one thing I would say to it, though, that was interesting is that I do wonder if that was something that the Heat were thinking about anyway, and that maybe just was the catalyst for it. They're just like, all right, you know what? We wanted to do this anyway, because Kyle then, of course, had the comments afterwards where he was saying that, you know, he expected to be back in the starting lineup. He is not. He is still a reserve, and, of course, the Miami Heat are now going with a starting lineup of Tyler, Jimmy, Bam, Nico, and Caleb Martin, who I imagine is just holding a spot for Jaime Jaquez, who apparently the Heat miss very, very much. And quite frankly, so do I, because he was the most fun part of this season, and I miss you, Jaime. I miss you so bad. But I do find it interesting that the Kyle Lowry thing sounds like it is coming towards somewhat of a resolution over maybe the next few days. I mean, the trade deadline, where are we sitting at? We're at 8th, so that's about 2 weeks away. Really 3 weeks away for the trade deadline. 3 full weeks away from the NBA trade deadline. And, you know, the Miami Heat do have a stretch of games coming up. We talked about this in the last video, that there's, you know, it's a tough stretch coming up outside of Memphis, who obviously is struggling this year and now has lost, you know, John Morant and has been dealing with a hell of a lot of injuries. Not that any win is a write-up anymore for the Heat. You know, Boston, New York, Sacramento, Phoenix, all these teams coming around, and you're either going to go there, a lot of those teams coming down here. You know, I think it is time hopefully if you get Jaime back that you're going to start figuring some things out and getting to it. I don't know necessarily what the move is with Kyle Lowry, if it's going to be as simple as like Terry Rozier has definitely been a name that's been kicked around a lot. If they were just to do something like that where they trade for Terry Rozier. But, in this case with Terry Rozier, like you're definitely getting a guy who, is having a really good season on a terrible team. But he can score. His efficiency has been good, all that. Still do wonder about that fit with your other guard, Tyler Hero, with, Terry Rozier averaging almost 24 points a game, and I think that even if he comes here knowing that he's going to be in more of a winning situation, I'm not, suggesting that Terry Rozier wouldn't be open to that. I'm just curious how that is going to fit. Now, just the idea of having somebody, a little bit more electric from that guard spot as opposed to Kyle Lowry, maybe the Heat just look at that as, hey, this is going to be a fit. But damn, man, they need somebody to just feel like, hey, can you take over this game? Can you have this moment here? And, Terry Rozier, of course, no stranger to playoff series as he was with the Boston Celtics years back before going over to Charlotte. But I just wonder about that fit too with Tyler, and really how those guys are all going to figure it out with Tyler, Bam, and Jimmy. I really do feel like there has to be some kind of come to basketball Jesus moment for them of like, let's why does this feel like when all three of them are together that it's just pulling teeth to figure out the connectivity between all of them, and why this is such a drag to get to this point. Why, with these guys having that much experience together, and even if you want to say like, oh well, there's been years where Tyler hasn't started, okay, dude, but I'm talking about like those guys have basically been closing games with each other now for half a decade. Why is this becoming such a headache? Start of games I get. End of games and all these lulls that they have, very, very confusing. Very, very confusing. But I don't know that just getting rid of Kyle Lowry is going to fix all of the Heat's issues. I didn't think losing Jaime was going to be this kind of impactful for him, but it very clearly has been. Because I do think that Jaime in a lot of ways is that great connector with a lot of these guys on the court, whether it just be positionally or times that he has to take over or just not needing plays called for him. Supposed to do this all the time. He'll go out there and he'll have 10 points, didn't call a damn play for him. And I don't know if it's just with the Heat, with their three top dudes that they all just feel like it. And mind you, I get it. There's a different pace to this thing than Miami. When they get to the postseason, you're going to get your all out from Jimmy Butler, but you would just want to believe that, hey, like you guys feel like you could make this a lot easier on each other. But remember, look, it was Pat Riley who said in the beginning of the year, and it was a let me get the exact quote here from Pat because it was a wild one. He was saying to Anthony Chang, and it was talking about the abyss, and I was like, what the hell does that mean, the abyss? What is he talking about? So he said to Anthony Chang of the Miami Herald, hold on, I thought I was logged in on my paywall. I guess I was not. It's because I had my one Google account open, not the right one that has it logged in. Now we're good to go. But Pat Riley, he said, these were some fascinating things that he said with this whole article to Anthony before the season on the Jimmy Butler era. It's been successful, but it hasn't translated to a championship. Riley says he knows with Butler, others will need to step up around him. He says, I don't know who it's going to be, Bam or Tyler, but somebody is going to be a 25-point-a-game scorer. We need that. Somebody else needs to be in the 20s, 19 or 21, but we need those three guys to play at a level, and to play at a level they can have us have a great regular season and a great playoff run. They're all capable. I've seen some signs from Bam and Tyler in the preseason that I really like. To which, to follow that up with Pat, if we were to check in, and yes, I know that everybody has had their own injuries that they've dealt with, but to his point, Tyler, Jimmy, Bam, Tyler's averaging 22, Bam's at 21.5, Jimmy 21.1. So nobody has really taken that leap. They're all kind of at the same place that they've been. Everybody is not. Nobody's really gone into that mode of, hey, you are X number scorer. You're going into this pace, and that's something that has definitely been noticeable, especially with all three of them back together. He then also, this was the quote about the abyss that he was talking about when discussing where they were at. And Pat Riley, I was just like, what does that mean, the abyss? Like we're at this point. And he said, when it comes to a championship window, we're at the abyss. I don't mean that in any kind of ill manner other than what it is. When you come to the abyss, you have to get to the other side. So when Pat Riley talks about this team being at the abyss and you have to get to the other side, like, are they really going to do this with these guys all together? The whole thing is, I know I've seen the thing on Twitter and the hilarious, Barry Jackson, love you, Barry, with the they like their team except reality. But I just find it hard to believe that this team, knowing how they felt like they were in a good spot with getting Jimmy back, and then when he comes back, everything just kind of feels like it's been grinded down. That's just weird to me, man. That's just weird to me from a standpoint of where they've been and how long they've been together. That would, even if you lose Jaime Jaquez, who's a rookie, that you would be at this spot. And then on top of it, having some drama of benching Kyle Lowry, knowing that there's fodder and trade talk about him again. And I don't want to give all this blame to Kyle Lowry because I think there are other issues besides Kyle Lowry. But, this is I definitely feel like this is a team in need of some kind of a jolt, something different. And I felt like Jaime was bringing a lot of that to this franchise. And I think even when they brought Nico into the starting lineup, that was another little different wrinkle that has kept guys engaged. And, they got a practice coming up. Going to be interesting to see where they go to figure these things out. As far as the DeJounte Murray thing is concerned with them, it doesn't sound like the Heat are really in the game for it. There's a lot of Lakers noise. We talked about this with his whole post on social media and, him having his love that he gave to UD and saying that he's honoring the legends. But it sounds very much like the big talks in this is all Lakers, and they're just trying to figure out what the hell to do with D'Angelo Russell. And, man, I'm going to tell you, if the Lakers go out and pull another midseason trade to try and fortify themselves, and they do this every single year because they have LeBron James, who is almost 40 years old, and that's where Heat fans are sitting here, be like, man, we're not going to do anything different to try and finagle, maneuver, get anything done other than development of Jaime and development of Nico. That's it. We're just going in-house. So I don't know. The Heat did that last year. It worked out okay. They got Kevin Love as a buyout. Kevin Love had some good moments for them for sure, and I'm sure that the Miami Heat will Jedi mind trick some really established veteran to want to come in too. But for me, man, I'm just going to be looking at this and being like, you can't seriously think that's it this year. Not with the Bucks changing the way they did, the Celtics changing the way they did, the Knicks adding Anunoby, the Pacers adding Pascal Siakam. Really the only team that's kind of showing the guts right now is Cleveland. Cleveland's balling out. They've lost guys, and they've still been kicking ass. But I just and look, and I think that Magic team is still good. I think that Magic team they lost to, has had some injuries. They're getting some guys back now. Still maybe a little bit too young, but they're respectable. You don't want to, I definitely don't want to see the Heat get like mixed up in a play-in with them or something like that. So I'm very curious to see what these next 3 weeks are gonna bear out, and maybe this is a move that happens this week if you hear and read the tea leaves from Ira and Anthony on this one. But feels like this team definitely needs a jolt of something, that's for sure.